All right. Then let's seal the promise just like when we were kids. Fist bump on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I swear. Whoa!
Lynette!
But what a surprise! What brings you here, dear sister? And, when exactly did you get here?
You're an idiot, brother. And you too, Fremine. You 3, Traveler. And you 4, Paimon.
Wait, what did we do? It's the knave and child! Hey, aren't you supposed to be in Snezhnaya recuperating? What are you still doing in Fontaine?
Oh, it's you two. I didn't expect to run into you here. I was unconscious for quite a while after the fight in the Primordial Sea. After I woke up, I realized I was being taken back to Snezhnaya, and well, I couldn't have that now, could I? Not when I've still got unfinished business here in Fontaine. So, I mustered up all my strength and made the journey back on my own.
What sort of unfinished business are we talking here?
It has to do with Skirk, my master. I really wanted to meet up with her, but by the time I got back, she had already left. I still have so many questions for her. Without any other leads, all I could do was ask the knave to help me track her down. She must have left behind some traces from her time in Fontaine.
Oh, okay, so have you found any clues?
Unfortunately, no. While the House of the Hearth is adept at collecting all manner of intelligence, certain existences can still manage to escape our purview.
Basically, unless Master feels there's a need to meet with me, she's not going to be found. But that problem has an easy fix. I just need to become stronger, and then...
Paimon thinks you should focus on getting better first.
The worst of it is over. It's all thanks to that one kid from the House of the Hearth. Elwar, I think her name was. She gave me a bunch of random potions to drink. They didn't go down easy, let me tell you. Pain and chills all over. But they really did help speed up my recovery. And that's good, because it looks like I really do have to head back this time. The old man's been putting the pressure on me. He sent someone to tell me I'm needed for some sort of project.
Project Stuja?
Yeah, that's the one. I heard Regrator's involved too. I'm not looking forward to having to listen to all his monologuing, that's for sure. Hey, maybe you could think of a way for me to stay in Fontaine for a little longer. Helping Linny and the others brush up on their fighting skills would be far more interesting. If you and I could spar, that would be even better. I've been waiting for a chance to see you go all out.
And what a sweet little daydream that is. But I also have a role to play in all this. I'll be leaving Fontaine shortly as well. Besides, considering how little they see fit to step outside the homeland, being called on to return to Snezhnaya by such illustrious dignitaries, what a great honor. Wouldn't you agree?
One I could do without, I'd say.
Is it just Paimon? Or does it kind of seem like they're...
So, dear guests of the House of the Hearth, to what do I owe the visit?
we just... Right! We're super close to Linny and the others, but we still don't know much about you!
Is that so? Introductions have already been made, have they not?
Oh, well, you see? There's only so much you can learn about someone from a short introduction. at least tell us something a little extra, like, why do you call yourself Father?
Huh, good question. I'd also like to know.
The fact that you have to ask tells me our intelligence work has been quite successful. Telling you the answer to that question would only serve to undermine that success. And we can't have that, now can we?
Spoken like a true diplomat. That was some expert sidestepping right there.
Well, if there's nothing else, I think I'll take my leave. I still have a small matter to resolve at home.
Wait, don't go!
I'd also like to hear the answer to this. I've met some of the members of your organization, and they all seemed like really good kids. They actually reminded me of Tonya and Tusser. Which, by the way, if you ever betray them, I'm just letting you know, I won't let you off easy.
And why would I betray them?
Well, you've already betrayed the House of the Hearth once, haven't you? At least, that's what I heard. Okay, I admit. That's just what the old man told me. The rooster, I mean.
Wait, did you really do something bad to those kids?
Never mind what I've done. I'm more curious as to what the mighty rooster had to say. Care to enlighten me?
Well, nothing much. Just some stuff about you taking out many other members of the House of the Hearth, and even going so far to attack your own family.
I see.
Oh, based on your reaction, I'm guessing it's all a bunch of lies.
Hardly. I don't appreciate his particular turns of phrase, but I suppose he didn't say anything untrue. Although, it would be more accurate to say that there is a certain level of prejudice involved, but I don't intend to clear that up just yet. Prejudice has a funny way of concealing the real truth behind certain things, an attribute that I find to be quite advantageous. Call yourself a Fontanian, for example, and people will assume all sorts of things, when the real truth is that this is simply the land where I was raised.
Huh? You're not actually from Fontaine? But then why did you try to help out with the prophecy and everything?
I was trying to protect the children born in Fontaine. Claiming that I myself was a Fontanian simply made it easier to operate. People would hardly suspect a fellow Fontanian of having any ulterior motives. Who wouldn't want to save their homeland after all? The primordial sea wouldn't have any effect on me, but it would have caused great harm to the House of the Hearth. Well, you wanted extra information, didn't you? There you go. I hope that satisfied your curiosity.
So, you stayed in Fontaine for the kids. I guess I was wrong to believe you'd betray them. Apologies. Looks like I was holding on to some prejudices myself.
Good. Like I said, I like it when others have misconceptions of me.
Actually, while I was recuperating at the House of the Hearth, there was something else that really caught my attention. I heard that members always resolve disputes and arguments with a friendly spar, and the loser has to back down. Seems pretty cool if you ask me. Would also give them plenty of opportunities to hone their skills.
Well, that's only a recent development. In the past, such spars weren't nearly so friendly. The losing party would lose everything, including their life.
They were that high stakes? Whew, at least that's not a thing anymore.
Well, the current atmosphere's not half bad. I'm a bit jealous, actually. You've got so many family members around you, and you even get to live with them.
Having a lot of family around means dealing with a considerable amount of bickering and scheming. Once Tonya and Tusser enter their rebellious phase, I'm sure you'll understand. Just imagine. Tusser becomes obsessed with plucking out strands from the rooster's mustache, or Tonya decides to dye her hair 42 different colors.
Okay, okay. I get the picture. Well, would you look at the time? I should probably get going. Traveler, Paimon, I'm not sure where our paths will cross next, but the next time we run into each other, we should definitely try and find some time to spar.
Again, maybe this is a conversation we can have when you look less like you're gonna keel over.
All right. Well, thanks for everything, Arlecchino.
No thanks necessary. You also played a part in obtaining the Gnosis. I would say we can call ourselves even.
I like the sound of that. Well, I'm off. See you all some other time.
We should probably get going too. Do you want to head back with us?
Oh? You want me to leave so soon?
Well, you see,
I'm rather enjoying the evening breeze. If you don't mind, I think I'll stick around for a bit. I have some things to think about. Apologies for not attending to you like a proper host. Please forgive this slight. I do hope you'll have a pleasant stay.
Ooh, look at the moon. Isn't it pretty? Hey, want to hear a secret? I heard that if you look up at the night sky in Snezhnaya, you can see the aurora. It's supposed to be super pretty. Even prettier than the moon tonight. Perry and I promised each other that once we're older, we're gonna go see it together.
Ah, it's you two again. I must say, you look a bit pale. Did you have trouble sleeping last night?
A little.
Perhaps if you had less on your mind, you'd be able to absolve yourself of such troubles. So what are you planning to do now? Catch up on some sleep? Or should I give you some time to rack your brain for a topic to discuss before I ask any questions? Although I must profess to being curious. Without child here, how do you plan on distracting me?
Us? Distract you? Good one. But no, we were just here for a chat.
Looks like you could have used some extra time to think. No matter. If you don't have any other plans, why don't you accompany me somewhere? Don't worry. I'll be sure to steer clear of any scheming children.
The ocean breeze is sure nice today.
Children always think they can hide things from the grown-ups. But nothing gets past me. Least of all a little scheming. I think I'll let them have at it for a little longer. I can be very patient. Well, I'll leave you to think things over. If you're so inclined, meet me outside the Palais Mermonia. Good things come to children who do as they're told. So I do hope you decide to tag along. If only for your friends' sakes.
What should we do? She clearly knows about everything we've been doing, and Paimon doesn't think it'd be a stretch to say she was threatening us just now. Oh, good idea. Hopefully he sees it in time. Well, we should probably head to the Palais Mermonia. Paimon doesn't want to find out what happens if we don't show up. Based on what the knave was saying just now, it sure didn't seem like it'd be anything good. Okay, then we probably shouldn't keep her waiting. It seems like Linny and the others are on thin ice, so let's do our best to not get them in any more trouble.
Seeing as we still have some time before my meeting, we might as well enjoy some pleasant conversation while we wait. I'm glad to see you get along with my children. Being surrounded by good companions is necessary for a child's development.
You're not planning on doing anything to them, are you?
I assume you're referring to Linny, Lynette, and Fremine. Although, there's that situation with Filial and Nentoy as well. It appears quite a few people have been acting out lately. No matter. I'm not one to discriminate. All those who betray the house meet the same fate. There are no exceptions.
Does that mean you're going to kill them?
Oh, are you here to beg for their lives? I'm sorry to disappoint, but the rules of the house change for no one. In my organization, everyone is responsible for their own actions.
But don't you care about them at all? They really respect you. They even call you father. You must feel something for them.
Any organization in which feelings come before principles is one destined for ruin. The House of the Hearth is hardly an exception. You could say our principles are more stringent than most. Perhaps I can offer you this consolation at least. As our guests, you two will not be held accountable along with them. I would imagine Linny, Lynette, and Fremine will be able to keep their lives. As for Filion and Toy and the others, I'm afraid there's little I can do. They can try to escape, but once you know our secrets, there's no getting out alive.
But that's awful.
Ah, you seem concerned. Out of consideration for my guests, I suppose I could turn a blind eye for a little longer. If Linny and the others manage to dispose of Claire V in the meantime, all evidence of their wrongdoing will be lost. In that case, I could hardly punish them for something I couldn't prove. If their efforts are unsuccessful, on the other hand, all will be held accountable, and the punishment will be severe. Of course. Oh, and here, I believe this belongs to you. Do try and keep better track of it next time. It takes a considerable amount of time to train a bird like this. It would be such a pity if you were to lose it. Permanently.
Wait, where did you get that?
Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have to chat. Now, for the matter at hand. I asked you to meet me here because I have business at the Palais Mermonia. It has nothing to do with you, but I think it would be prudent for you to stick by my side for the time being. There will always be time later to run off and tell Linny what you've learned. Well, time to go. Looks like we wrapped things up just in time. It's been a while, Monsieur Neuvillette. I must say, I wasn't expecting my meeting request to be approved quite so quickly. The Palais Mermonia operates with an efficiency worthy of admiration.
It is only right that an esteemed diplomat such as yourself should be afforded the proper level of respect. Although, if I may speak plainly, I must confess that I did not anticipate we would have the occasion to meet again after presenting you with the Gnosis. I see you've brought the Traveler and Paimon with you as well. If I may inquire as to the purpose of your visit.
I'll be departing Fontaine shortly. There is, however, an outstanding matter that I would like to see resolved before I go. It requires a rather lengthy explanation, I'm afraid. So I took the liberty of explaining everything in this proposal. Please review it at your leisure, Monsieur Neuvillette.
I understand your request. However, at the risk of causing offense, I must admit that I fail to see why you would wish for such a thing.
I heard you have a certain fondness for water tasting, Monsieur Neuvillette, so allow me to use water as an analogy. A family is like a large body of water with countless rivers flowing in and out. As someone who watches over this system, I would hope that each river that flows from the source will eventually reach the ocean. Of course, objectively speaking, I know this is impossible. Most of the rivers will dry up along the way, disappearing into the ground and leaving nothing but a barren riverbed behind. Not all rivers are destined to reach the ocean, but I would not see their existence rendered meaningless. I believe the water that flows within them is simply meant for a different destination, like a field in need of irrigation. Or perhaps the glass of a certain water-tasting enthusiast.
Did you get any of that, Traveler?
Your words paint an optimistic picture indeed. Allow me to remind you, however, few among us are willing to sip from a glass filled with tainted water.
It may have been tainted at one point in time, but not to worry. I'll make sure it's drained of all impurities and returned to its cleanest form.
I seem to recall there being a transactional aspect to your proposal. Perhaps you could expound on that?
If you accept my proposal, Monsieur Neuvillette, I will gradually withdraw my forces from Fontaine. And, unless absolutely necessary, I will no longer carry out any special missions within Fontaine.
I presume I can take your words to mean that, in the future, cases similar to the Tartuffe assassination will cease to cross my desk?
Tartuffe? Ah, that thief who embezzled funds from all those charities, you mean? My deepest condolences to his family, but without any evidence, I cannot imagine how the House of the Hearth might have been involved in his passing. Of course, if you accept my proposal, Monsieur Neuvillette, I'm sure certain measures could be taken to reduce the frequency of such troubles.
You choose your words carefully indeed. In that case, I am inclined to accept your proposal.
My thanks for your generosity, Monsieur Neuvillette. Well, with that settled, we should be going now. I took the liberty of bringing along 2 bottles of spring water from Snezhnaya for you to enjoy. I do hope I get the chance to hear your impressions. Perhaps at our next meeting, yes?
Indeed. I trust you would not overlook your commitment in the meantime.
All right, Traveler Paimon. Time to go. Well, now that my affairs are settled, we should take the boat back to Poisson. We've even acquired some light reading to enjoy along the way.
Actually, why don't we stick around for a little longer? Paimon just realized how hungry she is. She can't head back to Poisson on an empty stomach.
It appears you two are under the impression that delaying our return will somehow alter the situation in your favor. I'm sorry to ruin your fantasy, but your efforts are meaningless. That being said, I could be persuaded to give Linny some extra time. I just have one condition. If you agree to my request, I'll even answer some of your questions. You're quite curious about Claire V, are you not? And my relationship to her.
Wait, why are you being so generous all of a sudden? You're not gonna ask us to do something bad, are you?
You overestimate yourself. You don't have the talent for bad things.
Then what can you possibly...
The most important consideration in a negotiation is that both sides receive something they want. Demands and threats only get you so far. Wonderful. Here it is. When the time comes, make the choice that you deem most appropriate in the situation, and lend your help to the House of the Hearth.
Okay, sounds normal enough. But what do you mean, when the time comes? When is that supposed to be?
That is for you to decide. Then we have a deal. Follow me.
What is this place?
Somewhere long forgotten by everyone. It used to be a grand building. Now it's nothing more than a pile of rubble. No one comes here anymore, nor does anyone care about what once happened here. Although, this place does have something to do with the story I'm about to tell you. It was before I became a Harbinger, and before Linny and the others joined the House of the Hearth. Due to certain events, I first killed Clairvy and then her mother. And this is where it all happened.
You were the one that killed Clairvy?
Patience now. Allow me to explain Clairvy's side of the story first. I'll start from the beginning. Clairvy was 6 years old when she was brought by her mother, Crucibina, to live in the House of the Hearth. From the outside, it seemed like a fairy tale. A thriving family made up of kind adults and friendly children. Crucibina was the knave at that time, and the House of the Hearth was under her control. She was Clairvy's mother by blood, but she was also the mother to all the children in the house. Clairvy was happy here, for a time. But she quickly realized that being part of this family wasn't a fairy tale at all. It was a kind of purgatory.
Purgatory?
Exactly. The House of the Hearth takes in war orphans from all over Tevat. But as for how to raise them, that depends entirely on the person in charge. Crucibina came up with a novel idea. She would teach the children to fight, force them to duel each other, and then crown as the king of the house the child who proved themselves most worthy of inheriting her title. It's difficult to estimate the number of children who died or were maimed in the process. There's little I can say about the ones who died. The ones that emerged with permanent injuries, on the other hand, well, they still served a purpose. They would be handed over to the doctor to be experimented on, or sent away on dangerous missions. Nothing more than tools to be used and then discarded.
So those were the experiments Clairvy was talking about. But what actually happened to her? You said that Clairvy was Crucibina's daughter, so if Clairvy tried to convince her to stop what she was doing, Crucibina probably would have listened, right?
Despite being Clairvy's mother, Crucibina cared little for her daughter. She forced Clairvy to join the House of the Hearth only as a means to demonstrate her own impartiality as a mother, to prove that she treated all her children equally. Clairvy did try to convince her mother to change her ways, but it was to no avail. After her efforts failed, the only other option was to rise up and try to fight back. Unfortunately, the other children had already been thoroughly indoctrinated into the illusion of happiness Crucibina had created. Of course, there was one exception. Someone Clairvy's age who knew the truth about the House of the Hearth. Her name was Peruere.
Wait, the friend that Clairvy mentioned?
Friend, huh? I suppose we can call her that for now. Clairvy was a cheerful and passionate person with a tenacious spirit. Peruere, on the other hand, was rather cold-blooded. Her cold-blooded nature allowed her to see through Crucibina's facade. Yet, it was also this cold-bloodedness that prevented her from acting against it. At least at first. While Clairvy longed for freedom, Peruere was convinced that, amid all the fighting and violence, she would make it until the end. Despite their differences, the two became fast friends, united by their knowledge of the truth. Clairvy told Peruere that she hoped to create a real family, where no one would be killed or sacrificed. There may have been a certain naivete to her ideas, but Clairvy proved her determination many times over. She tried countless times to run away, ask for help, or expose the truth. But her efforts only earned her beating after beating. The only thing that kept her going was her strength of will. Even with her body racked with pain, she would still stand on her tiptoes and open the window at night. She and Peruere would look out at the moon together, a fierce longing for freedom shining in her eyes. But one day that light simply vanished.
Oh no. What happened?
Her hopelessness resulted from a culmination of things. 10 years had passed. 10 years worth of failure after failure. She and Perouer weren't children anymore, but finding any chance to escape still seemed as hopeless as ever. It was during this time that Perouer suggested a new plan. If escaping was out of the question, why not take down the very person sitting on top of this throne of lies? Mother herself. Clairvy rejected that proposal. She claimed that, as a famous harbinger, Crucibina possessed an unimaginable amount of power. Trying to kill her would have an incredibly low chance of success. Clairvy never gave another reason, but Perouer could see it written all over her face. Clairvy still thought of Crucibina as her mother. Killing her own flesh and blood was a line she couldn't bring herself to cross. If she couldn't escape and fight back, then only one option remained. Precisely. Death was the only way that she felt she could be free. It happened during a duel. When she arrived at the dueling ring that day, her partner turned out to be none other than Perouer, the very person that had stood by her side all those years. It was a fierce battle. But ultimately, Clairvy decided to let Perouer end her life. From that moment on, Perouer's journey was one written in flames. When the rain finally came and washed it all away, there she stood, the sole victor in Mother's endless game of slaughter, a trail of corpses strewn across her path to success. It was the very result she had predicted 10 years prior. Even then, she believed she would make it until the end. She wasn't surprised by the fact that she emerged as Mother's undisputed heir. Rather, her success left her with an inexplicable sense of restlessness. She was unsettled, and there was only one thing that could quell that sensation. Perhaps you two would like to take a guess as to what it was?
Crucibina, you mean? But...
Correct. This is the place where Perouer killed her best friend. A mere year later, this is also the place where she fought tooth and nail to kill the mother they shared. The moment she acted, any conception of what was right or wrong ceased to matter. It's one of the principles of the house. Only those who survive get to write the rules. Perouer won the battle, and became a harbinger herself. After which Her Majesty, the Tsaritsa, bestowed upon her a new name. Arlecchino.
So the Perry Clairvy was talking about... It was you all along. You're Perouer. Arlecchino is just a name you got later.
I left that name behind long ago. I must say, hearing it now does bring back memories. After I defeated Crucibina, the moniker of Mother died with her. I chose to forego the title she called herself, and even chose to give up my own name. I rebuilt the House of the Hearth under a new identity. Not only as Arlecchino, but as father. And that is where the story ends. Any more questions?
Yeah. Based on what you just told us, Clairvy wasn't a little kid when she was killed. So the Clairvy we met... Was she really a spirit at all?
I suppose you could call her an illusion born of flame. Her existence is like ashes to a fire. Something left over in the wake of blaze and ruin. You see, a certain power runs through my veins. It's not unlike a curse. My flames leave behind shadows of anything they consume. Of course, the chances of those shadows morphing into a sentient entity are exceedingly slim. Clairvy is a very special case. Clairvy died when she was 16 years old, but what emerged from the flames was her 6-year-old self, Her appearance wasn't the only thing affected. Most of her memories were lost to the blaze as well. Memory is a mysterious thing indeed. Losing a portion of your memories will alter your sense of self. Lose 10 years' worth, however, and it would be like living in the past. Like returning to a version of yourself that never grew up.
No wonder Paimon got such a weird feeling when we were talking to her.
Perhaps I should put it this way. Clairvy is someone trapped in time. It may seem like she exists with us in the present, but she truly lives in the confines of her own past.
So if all of that is true, then you must have known about Clairvy for a long time.
Indeed. She's a rather volatile and unstable entity. Sometimes she would look after the children. She's even saved some of their lives. But other times, she would hide from me and become obsessed with revealing the truth about the house to anyone who will listen. Shadows don't have the capacity to learn or grow. Any new information they encounter is quickly forgotten over time. Your attempts to expose Clairvy to sunlight, they failed, yes? The reason is actually quite simple. In Clairvy's mind, the house is impossible to escape, and it is this very perception that traps her there. But no matter. All I have to do is kill her again, and all will be resolved. I don't anticipate so much as a single speck of ash will be left behind this time.
Wait! Paimon can understand why you might want her gone, but isn't there another way? So what if she's trapped in her 6-year-old self? She's still your friend! At least talk to her first!
It's too late for that. She broke the rules, and now she must be punished. That goes for Filial and Nantoy as well. She's had quite the effect on them. I hope you understand the difference between Crucibina and myself lies in our formulation of the rules, not our policy for enforcing them. Upholding the rules without question is a trait we both share, because that is how a household should be run.
Is this really what you want to do?
Whatever could you mean?
Don't you want to say a proper goodbye at least?
Whether as a killer or as a father, there are two things that must be avoided at all costs: anger and sorrow. Anger makes you impulsive. Sorrow causes you to waver. Well, it appears it's about time to proceed. Before we arrived, I told some of my well-behaved children to bring our troublemakers here by nightfall. I do believe I've kept my end of the deal. I give your friends quite a bit more time. As for what happens now, we'll just have to wait and see.
Father, please wait!
Something you want to say, Linny?
Please reconsider, Father. What Filial and the others did, does it really count as betrayal? We all come from broken families. From the very first day we joined the House of the Hearth, we wanted nothing more than to make it a real home. But the truth is, none of us know what a real home should look like. I'm not saying I have all the answers. All I know is this. Killing Filial and the others may uphold the rules, but doing so will only bring us further away from being a real family than we've ever been. So please, Father, please reconsider.
I agree with Linny.
Father, please. Linny, you...
I also agree with Linny.
An order once given cannot be rescinded. However, given the extent of your determination, I suppose we shall have to go about this a different way. Draw your weapons and face me.
Our weapons?
Father, Are you referring to a duel?
Precisely. The rules of the house will not be altered. Traitors must be punished. However, resolving disputes with a duel is also one of our rules, one that also applies to me. Demonstrate a sufficient showing of strength, and I shall offer a concession.
Wait. Beat Father in a duel?
Impossible. Father is way too strong, even for Lenny.
Did you hear that, Traveler? Lenny and the others have to duel the knave. What should we do? Can they really win something like that? If they lose, those people from the house are really gonna be executed. Hey, are you listening?
Don't you want to say a proper goodbye at least?
Anger makes you impulsive. Sorrow causes you to waver.
Oh, looking at that expression on her face, she seems really serious about this. Guess that means there's no chance she's throwing the duel on purpose, huh?
When guests are around, families are often on their best behavior. And any disputes are less likely to escalate.
When the time comes, make the choice that you deem most appropriate in the situation, and lend your help to the House of the Hearth.
What's wrong, Traveler? Hey, where are you going?
Traveler?
You're asking to join the duel against the knave?
I'll allow it. We do have a ready-made dueling ring at our disposal, after all. All I would advise is this. Keep a firm grasp on your weapon, and give it your all. Any less, and you may just lose your life. Closer now.
Think you can bully me? Commit it to memory.
Now's our chance. Closer now.
The tide's beckon.
With these rising flames. Is it my turn now?
Bow your head.
Now that's more like it.
Father's even stronger than I expected.
Is it my turn now?
Illusion shattered! Torn to oblivion!
With these rising flames! Look out! With the fall of darkness, destruction shall rise. Have a taste of purgatory.
Can't have your dream.
Look at you. And dropped like a bunch of helpless animals.
Shake it and stir it.
How amusing.
Commit it to memory. Sharing my knowledge.
Hang in there. Like a fly tangled in a web. Spare your energy. Running is of little use. With these rising flames.
Look at you, Foozle.
Try to pace yourself. Is it my turn?
Look at you. Trapped like a bunch of helpless animals.
Shaken and stirred!
Not bad. You've proven to be a worthy
Let's go, let's go!
kindness has been sealed away.
Special!
My blade is all that remains.
Shine down!
Watch out for Father's movements. Look out!
Look at you, Boozle! Take through the little.
Illusion shut!
Silence!
Now's our chance.
Over here! Your punishment made manifest.
Everyone hold hands! The Temple of Wisdom!
There is no escape!
Watch out for Father's movements. Look out!
The sun and moon have set. All hope has been extinguished.
Let the mighty be humble.
You should know better than to crowd in one place.
Oh, I know. No! I'm sorry, Father!
Sorry for what? This pitiful excuse for an attack.
Father, no!
Made it out, did you? You're stronger than I expected.
A crimson moon. I can't move.
Still, not strong enough to beat me. For the last 16 years of my life, I've done everything I can to fight for freedom. But now, I realize that the only freedom I truly possess is the freedom to choose to die.
I never imagined I would say something like that. I must have been feeling really worn down. But somehow, I still think I understand. According to Mother's plan, only one of us was going to make it until the end. And I always hoped that person would be you. If I could do it all over again, I still don't think I would make a different choice. Even when I first met you, I knew you'd be able to do what I couldn't.
Is that so? Even now, I'm not sure I truly understand what kind of freedom you were trying to pursue. But as the head of the House of the Hearth and as the children's father, I've tried to give them the most basic of freedoms. The freedom to choose their own fate. It's something I discussed with the Iudex of Fontaine. The children who want to leave the house will have their memories wiped clean of all secrets pertaining to the organization. In return, they will be allowed to live a normal life in Fontaine without being prosecuted for their past. Of course, I won't simply hand freedom to them on a silver platter. They have to fight for it and prove themselves worthy of it. Only freedom that is earned has true value.
That's more than enough. That's exactly the kind of life I was fighting for. You know, Perry, I think you're a pretty amazing king, and a really great father, too. I'm really happy that you're the one who took over the house. I guess I do have one regret, though. I still haven't seen the outside world.
Well, it just so happens that our dear guests over here have been to many nations and traveled to countless places. Perhaps they would be willing to tell you what the outside world is like.
Really?
Of course! We've traveled all over the place. We've got so many stories, we could probably talk your ears off for 3 days straight!
You know, I used to dream of being a bard. Playing the lute while singing into the winds of freedom. Even if there was no one there to listen, I would have continued to sing no matter what. Ah, that's where Mora comes from. I never knew that before. If I had some Mora, I would buy 3 new dresses. One for me, one for Perry, and one for Mother. It's just too bad Perry doesn't like wearing dresses. And Mother, well, she probably wouldn't accept something like that either. I guess I'd just have to keep them all for me then. I could wear a different one every day. Those yokai you mentioned, what do they look like? I once saw a drawing of this one guy with horns on his head and a super scary face. Are there any yokai like that?
Oh, sounds like you're talking about an Oni. Yep, we've met one, and let Paimon tell you, they're not nearly as scary as they look.
I was always too afraid to skip Mother's fighting lessons. But at the academia, I bet you could do all sorts of secret things in class. Things that have nothing to do with studying. I'm just kidding. Being able to study whatever you want without having to fear for your life actually sounds pretty great.
The situation was super dangerous. Lenny and Lynette were accused of committing a crime, and they were going to have to stand trial at the Opera Epicles.
Oh no, that must have been hard for all of you. What happened next?
Don't worry, we were able to turn the situation around super quickly. All thanks to Detective Paimon, of course.
How'd you do that? Come on, tell me.
Okay, so it was like this. After the failed magic show, we rushed to the scene and...
Shadows don't have the capacity to learn or grow. Any new information they encounter is quickly forgotten over time. Clairvy, you've worked tirelessly from the shadows to overthrow the House of the Hearth. Now, by my authority as the Knave, I shall announce how this matter ends. You are hereby expelled from the House of the Hearth. You are no longer tied to this place, nor are you bound by its rules.
You're saying that I can finally leave? I get to experience the outside world as well? Oh, I almost forgot. There's no getting older for me. Still, seeing who you grew up to be makes me really happy, Parallel. Take care of yourself. Goodbye.
May we meet again someday.
Clairvy. She left so soon. Paimon didn't even get to finish her story.
I also have certain sentiments left unsaid. I wanted to tell her that the aurora I saw in Snezhnaya was just as beautiful as the ones in the pictures. But a shadow's memories reset at dawn. Had we delayed any longer, we wouldn't have had the time to say goodbye. Whatever regrets may linger, let them be lost to the coming of a new day.